So here's Ben. I started him off on a collar just to see how it would work for him because he did start tracking on a collar 8 years ago and he was very unhappy about it. And so I put him on a downstay and ran back to the van, which was close, and put his harness on him, and he was much happier with that. So off we go on the harness. This is 970 meters long. It was aged for 1 hour. It's 20 Celsius with no wind. So this is part one. We get to just a little ways past Article 1 in part one, and part two will be from there to the end. So Ben catches the track very quickly once he gets going down the curb into the shade of the building along the back. And here he investigates the grass a little bit, then goes back and forth down to the road. I'm just letting him sort it out. And at those white doors, I actually did step up onto the sidewalk. So right there. And I went down the sidewalk and made a right-hand turn. So Ben is making his way along, and then suddenly he veers out onto the roadway, and I can see that Ben sees a man. I see this man every weekend. We're like regulars, and he's coming towards us, and this is Ben's Achilles heel. Ben is super friendly, but when he's tracking, he gets very leery of people, not crowds, but if there's one person around, he tends to stare at them. So he finally breaks contact and gets back to the track, makes his way around the vehicle where there's a left-hand turn, and he stops to stare at the man for a minute before he keeps going. So I just cut a little space out so you don't have to watch him staring. Then he goes out into the parking lot, overshoots the tiniest bit, and then hits the leg down the dip. Just a small dip in the pavement there. And this is an hour old, and you could really feel the heat here on this side of the building. It goes right up the railing, and Ben makes a big circle before he finds his right turn up the railing, and then heads down the sidewalk. Now I am trying to eliminate these circles, but I'm happy that he's doing it in front of me and not circling around me, so I will take that. I taught a circle back as part of the RCMP method, where the dog loses scent and circles back towards you, but over 8 years Ben has busy feet like his father Ted, and Border Collies tend to be a little busier on their feet, and I think Ben likes making those circles, so it's going to be fun to try and eliminate the bigger circles and get him back to a little bit more efficient tracking, especially as he's getting older. So here there's a left-hand turn coming up, and Ben actually makes a bit of a clover leaf here, which is very typical and something to really learn to watch. So he checks every direction and then picks his final direction. So you can see a negative there. I'm just giving him loose line to figure it out. There was another negative. And now he commits to that direction. I've always found Ben very easy to read. So here we are coming down the sidewalks. And at the end of the last one, there's a right turn across the road to an article. I was only going to put one article out today at the end.
Good boy.
When I realized how hot it was, I decided to break it up into two so that I could have a good watering spot. So we pause here for some water, cool him off, he has a little shake, and we carry on. I stayed on the gravel. I went right over that barricade. I stepped over it. I can see Ben, he's checking the sidewalk. I tend to use sidewalks, so I have to remember not to be a creature of habit.
Hang on.
And the gravel was just a little cooler today.
Good.
This is the only time I had to untangle Ben, I think, in his whole
Good.
track. Normally, I try to let them walk out of it, but I'm trying to use some of Dick Stahl's ideas and really appreciate the help he's been giving me to eliminate the circling. And he always untangles his dogs, and I do appreciate that. So we want them to be comfortable in their tracking, and it makes sense to me. So he's carrying on down the gravel here. I did step up onto the sidewalk where the rock is. And because this track is an hour old, some of the scent has pooled down in that dip where the culvert is, and Ben gets caught up investigating a little bit there. Get the pooling scent. So I stop and I'm just letting him work it out. And one of the things I'm really happy about here is Ben comes back towards me. A search back, I would call it a circle back, but he's not doing it as a big circle around me, which I'm very happy about. So he's given up on the culvert. The track is on the sidewalk. He takes a quick check here. Comes back. And off we go up the sidewalk.